This is my turn to talk. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Boy Ninja, welcome. Hey, Frankie. And welcome to everyone who is listening on another platform. Welcome. Hey, Minnesota, welcome. Hey, Brina Brina, welcome, welcome. Hey, 86 Bad Love, welcome, welcome. Thanks for sharing the show, Brina Brina. Okay, everyone, welcome, welcome. We'll just let everyone else trickle in as they tend to do. Um, so yesterday, y'all, we really got into the weeds. Yesterday, so I'm gonna get into the weeds again today. And 86 Bad Love says there are three sides to every story: your truth, my truth, and then the truth between those sides. You make a good point. You make a very good point. Never thought about it that way. But that's what we do on this show. We pick things apart, we put them back together. Sometimes we don't, sometimes we do, but everybody gets the chance to say what they want to say. So I'm just going to start off with you know, the questions. Are people willing to listen before making a choice or decisions? Are both sides valid? Are some people unwilling or unable to accept another person's side? So I'm going to start off by saying that um, I have a critic who is constantly telling me that I'm not willing to yield. I'm not willing to give or whatever. And as you all know, hey Ellie, welcome. And as y'all know, um, you know, I can dig my teeth into something, and I'm like a dog with a bone, and sometimes I just will not let it go. And I do that because I have convictions where I truly believe certain things, or I don't believe certain things. I do believe there are two sides to every story, and I do listen to both sides. But if I still think that your side is incorrect, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to tell you. And if you want to push back on me, as you all know, some people do on this show, they push back on me. I push back on people. That's fine. I'm able to walk away. No hard feelings. I walk away, and that's it. Having said that, do you guys think that most people are willing to listen to both sides, not necessarily accept both sides, but do you think people are willing to listen to both sides? Anybody? Anybody? So, do you think that people are at least, willing to sit down and if one person thinks the sky is blue, the other person thinks the sky is black. Another person may think I'm throwing in the variable that bad loves throw in with the three sides. You know, somebody else may think the sky's red. Could everybody be right? Does it depend upon what part of the world you're in? What part of the country? How many times have we, driven and it was nice and sunny, but then you drive a little bit further down the road and the sky turns black because it's about to rain. Welcome me him. So are we both wrong? If I'm talking to you on the phone and I say, "Wow, the sky is really getting dark. It's really getting black out here." You're like, "No, sky's blue." I'm like, "No, no, the sky is really dark." We're not both wrong. Now I know that's hey Lou, I know that's you know not as what's the word I want to use? Um, I know what word I want to use, y'all, and I don't have my word. Hey, crazy, welcome, Ligma, welcome, whomever you may be, welcome. Um, I guess that example that I just gave you is a little tame, so I'll go, for something a little more into the weeds. Um, One person may think that your kid's a bully. You don't think your kid's a bully. Every time you see your kid's just the nicest kid and helpful and whatever. When I see your kid is terrorizing every kid at school. Are we both wrong? Let me read some of these comments here. See, Batlove says, yes, depending upon the timing, somebody might not be willing to listen to the other side. Good point, Brina. Blunt says, we we can't even agree if the earth is round. Blunt, hello. Brina says, like, if somebody is so angry, they might not want to hear it. That is true. That is true. But do you think that at some point that anger can subside where they do listen to the other side? Um, Brina says, it's because it's a triangle. They're all wrong. Oh boy, that's funny. Bad Love says, what if the sky is red because the person telling the story is colorblind? Well, technically, Bad Love, if they were colorblind, they would only see in what is it black and gray. They only colorblind people only see in two different colors. But you have a point. You have a point. Um, or it could be a red dawn. I mean, is any side ever really wrong? I mean, unless you're talking about murder, where you killed that person, murder's wrong. Um, I don't think there's two sides to every story if that murder's wrong. But I do think there's two sides to every story if it's self-defense. If a wife kills her husband because he's consistently beating her and he was threatening her, or vice versa, she was threatening him. I do believe that when it comes to murder, there could possibly be two sides to every story. Um, let's see. I am having a great day. Very windy here, but I am having a great day. Let's see. You all are saying how to each other. Brendan says, yes, once the anger goes away, they might be willing to hear it. And Bad Love says, but you know what I would say. Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. 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 Crazy says, yes, if you lie. Okay. Now, there are some people that lie to get their point across, and then they get caught in that lie. Ligma says to add something to the uh, cast title, a fact that may not be so popular. There are a small percentage of people out in the world where coriander, the very lovable food garnish, tastes like soap to them. So, yes, there are sides to stories. True, when it comes to food, true. Color blindness has degrees. Some see shades of reds and shades of blue and green. I did not know that blind. I thought it was just mainly two colors that they were able to see. There's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. Okay, but crazy, wouldn't the truth be in one of those sides? Wouldn't the truth be in one of those sides? Because again, like Bad Love says, she says it's your truth and my truth. So isn't the truth in one of those sides? Hey, crazy, welcome back.
Hi. So I've been crazy busy. So not that I haven't wanted to join, but if I don't catch the whole conversation, it's kind of hard to join in. Um, when I say that there's two sides, both sides, and then there's the truth, it's not because either side is lying, but let's be real. You and I may see the same thing. That doesn't mean we see it the same way.
Correct.
So if I'm telling a story and you're telling a story, and whether it's the same story or not, we may not match. We may remember something differently, may not have exactly happened that way, and like that's tough for someone to admit. And that doesn't matter. I don't care how short or how long you've remembered that story or not. You just remember things differently or saw it differently or whatever it is. So then there's always like if you told a story, I told a story, and then there was a camera view, I'll bet you that's going to vary it. Our stories are still going to vary from that footage and be like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we forget things or we remember them differently or whatever the case may be. Or somebody's lying. I mean, sometimes you don't know the truth. And when they say about that, they're like, well, the only person that knows the truth can't tell us the truth. There's always that too.
But does that necessarily make the other person wrong? Like when you bring in the
Not always. You're wrong if you're lying. If you were lying, you were wrong. But how do you know that?
okay,
Unless you have a camera that tells you the truth, you see? Like how do you prove that?
okay, okay. No, I mean no, because you make a good point because two people can always see things differently. Okay, because I know I
Mm-hmm.
see things differently from a lot of people. Okay, from a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. I know y'all have heard me on the
Same.
show, whatever. Um, but I don't necessarily think that I'm wrong. I don't necessarily think that you're wrong. I just don't agree with the way you see it.
Exactly.
And I'm able
Exactly.
to walk away from that. So I'm not saying that you're wrong, you're right. And then crazy you said, and then there's the truth, but then again, the truth may
Well,
not.
you're speaking your truth.
Right, right,
So
right.
you're speaking your truth, I'm speaking mine, and then there's the truth. The truth may be because it's a fact, but remember, there's 100 different variables we could throw in there. So whether it's a fact, a fiction, something you experienced or witnessed, there's a difference.
True. And you make a very good point because you could bring up facts and numbers and figures and stuff like that. But if someone experiences something different, then that they may not necessarily still be wrong just because you're throwing out all these facts and figures because, well, okay, but what about this, and this? And that's why I always say I look at the whole. I have to look at the whole.
That's
So
why I don't comment on one side, to be honest. Like if I try to make sure I hear out, even if I don't want to hear out the other side. If I'm, let's say, just for example, somebody I like, somebody I don't like. They both have stories, right? And one of my friends like, what are you talking about? Why would you want to hear their side? Well, I need to hear all sides to make an honest answer, or, I mean, otherwise I'm not going to comment, because I may hear something because I'm always one to play the devil's advocate too. Like, that's why a lot of people, I mean, friends get mad at me too. I can't believe you're not sticking up for me. Well, but why would I? You're asking me to do that just blatantly, blanket, without facts, without other sides, without whatever. I can't. I can. Yeah, sorry, can't do that because you may not be right. So
Okay. All right. Crucible, welcome.
Hi, Solid. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I think where we get into a little bit of trouble, and this is going to maybe not be a very popular sentiment, but this whole speak your truth, I think, is a very slippery slope to be generous and very dangerous territory to be accurate. I don't believe there are two sides to every story. I'm an absolutist. There is the truth, and that there's what happened, and then there's what didn't happen. In between, we have versions of what we think happened, what we would have liked to have happened, what may have happened in previous similar situations. We inject nuance, we inject context, we inject perspective, and we bring our previous experiences in those situations to inform how we feel about that particular situation. What I don't agree with is the speak your truth, because that leads people to believe they can't be wrong. And that is factually simply not accurate. We can have different interpretations of things, but there can't be two sides. Like Crazy was saying, if we had a camera, or these, I forget what the car commercial is these days, but insurance commercial, you drop that little red flag and we have a review, and then everybody can see for themselves what exactly happened. Now you can spin and interpret all you want, but there's only one truth: either it happened or it didn't happen. And when we encourage people to speak their truth, we invite them to dismiss certain salient elements that they don't feel comfortable with. So they invert the truth to suit their comfort level. And now everybody's walking around with their truth. No wonder nothing ever gets resolved. So I don't think there are two sides to every story. There's the truth and there's what didn't happen. What we all remember is noise.
Okay. I am going to disagree. And yes, Crucible, I'm disagreeing with you again. Um, I think that that's wrong, because I think that when you say that, it distorts things, and what have you, and there's the truth, whatever. There's a lot of truth that's out there that is being de that's being denied because people feel uncomfortable. There's a lot of truth out.
Mhm.
There's a lot of truth out there
That,
where laws.
that
Where,
wasn't the
where,
question, though. That wasn't the question, though.
the question is, are there two sides to every story? I'm making a comment on what you just said. I'm commenting on what you just said, because everyone does have a truth. If a woman says, I have a friend whose husband used to beat her up all the time, and I told my husband said, oh, come on, because every time he saw her husband, he was this nice guy, whatever, until one day he saw it was her truth. Everyone has a truth. Just because you don't see it, just because you don't read about it, just because you don't hear about it, just because you don't see it firsthand, everyone does have their truth. And when you start bringing in the cameras and stuff, we're starting to see more and more there is that truth that people want to dismiss. Everyone does have a truth, because everyone lives a different life and sees and lives their life through a different lens. So everyone
But
does have.
just because you believe something doesn't make it true.
But if it
I'm
but
sorry, that's not the
okay,
criteria. That's not one of the criteria.
but according to you, but if it happened to me, how can you say that it's
According
not?
to everybody.
If it
No,
ha-
that's your
okay,
experience.
if
It's not your truth.
it is my truth, because my
If I
if I
let's
experience
just say I
something.
walked. Okay, let's just say I walked into a let's use a discrimination example. I walked in someplace and I thought I was being disrespected by the owner for whatever reason. I didn't have wasn't having a good day, whatever. He wasn't having a good day, and I felt disrespected. I walked out there and said, "I'm never going back because they discriminated against me." Now there could have been absolutely no discrimination whatsoever. You chose to believe it was there. That's not the truth. It's your version of the truth. It's how you chose to see it. That's a very different thing.
And I could go with that, along with that, up to a certain point. But if someone continuously experiences the same thing that other people do not, or other people do not experience things the same way, you cannot say that someone's truth is not their truth. So I'm just going to say it like this, and I know you hate when I do this. I'm going to agree to disagree, because this is a merry-go-round that we can keep going round and round on. And again, this is one thing that I disagree, because people do have their truth, and whether it's their experience or not, their experience is their truth, and we can go back and forth on that, but that's the way I see it. Crazy.
I'm just going to give my opinion on that, and I actually disagree too. So, speaking your truth, I just typed it in the chat. To me, speaking your truth, it's not about facts. It's not about that. It is about I just said this. It's about your perception, your opinion. It's a gathering of what you remember, how you experienced it, all of that. What you're doing is speaking your truth. Nobody said that anybody else doesn't have the right to disagree with that and speak their truth. But is it that's the difference? We're working on variables. Was there facts? Was there a camera? Is this just between two people that were he said, she said? Is this like there's so many things to go round and round, but speaking your truth is just you putting that out there. This is my truth. Now you want to disagree, you want to have your opinion, you want to have your truth, that's on you. So that's my definition of that. Really speaking your truth. If I tell someone to do that, I'm not offering them the platform to go ahead and lie to me where I'm like, "Oh, and since it's your truth, that must be fact." Like I don't have to accept that. That's not how I look at the definition of that.
Okay. All right. And again, and this is why I say, I mean, people are going to have their opinions and they see things differently. So you can, I mean, people can push back and say, no, that's not right, and I can say, no, you're not right. The bottom line is, people see things differently. So what people may see as their truth, and because I do believe it's okay for someone to say their truth, because when you want to start dismantling things, whatever, and say that didn't happen, that is happening right now in this country. Things are being dismantled, where either one side is favoring this side of quote unquote facts, this side is favoring this quote unquote unquote facts. So it's like, unless you live it or experience it, or like Crazy says, you have that camera. And like she also said, there's a variable to everything. There is. It's just, everything is just not cut and dry. That's my opinion. Crucible.
Yeah, that's why it's tough for me.
You're absolutely right. But at the same time, I don't think that you can jump down. Somebody say, well, no, 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 you're wrong. Is this or is nothing. That's, to me, that's not true. That's not true. The way you all see me on a podcast may be different from what people who know me in person see me. They can think that I'm a total asshole. You all can think that I'm a total asshole. Somebody else can think that I'm the nicest person. So everything is not cut and dry. I try to look at the whole. And if people want to say that I'm wrong, okay, fine. I'm not, that's your opinion. Okay, crazy.
Now, don't get me wrong. If someone said this is my truth and then they said something and I had footage that it wasn't, I'm like, all right, your truth is wrong. Nobody's saying that letting someone speak their truth is giving them absolute, like, absolution from being a liar. Nobody's saying that. You know what I mean? Speaking your truth is just speaking your truth to whatever it is.
Okay, okay. And Lou says lies lead to more lies. And Bad Love says, if I watch CNN News and then I watch the same story on Fox News, I only pay attention to the details that match. There are truths between them delivered differently. That is true. Let's see. Ligma says that's more. I'm sorry, Bad Love. I keep getting an invite from you. That's more of a binary take on interpersonal relationships, though crazy. I see what you mean. Lou says, Bad Love, those are ratings programs, not real news outlets. But I understand what she's saying. Um, Bad Love says, no thanks. My mother tortured me with that show growing up, hard pass. Brennan says a good friend tells the truth. They don't just tell you what you want to hear. Absolutely. Let's see. See, I get that, but they aren't supposed to lie considering what their faith is. Now, see, we're getting into faith here, and that's a whole different show about faith and lies because there are a lot of people out there who supposedly have faith, and that's another show. Brina, friends shouldn't ask you to do that anyways if it's serious. Let's see. Bad Love says, if you don't think there are wolves among God's flock, then that's your choice. There are wolves everywhere. Everywhere, not just in God's flock, they're everywhere. I like the way Salad says, I'm going to disagree. I mean, Ellie, I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree. See, am I caught up? I'm trying to catch up on all the comments, y'all. Ligma says it's your perspective and experience of what happened. And Ligma says precisely crucible. Let's see. Rockweiler says those aren't God's real people. Got to pluck them out. They show their true colors in time. Everyone shows their true colors sometimes. Crazy says speaking my truth means that my truth and you have a right to disagree. Grandmaster says I don't think both have a different understanding of what someone's truth means. Okay, I'm sorry. Grandmaster says, I think you both have a different understanding of what someone's truth means. Yes, we have a different understanding. So, that's why
Different
that's why
opinions.
I agree to disagree because you have a different understanding, and I'm not going to be this absolutist and say no, 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 because everyone has a different understanding of what things are. And then Crucible says truth is not about facts. That's a question. Facts are the truth. See, Bad Love says the 700 Club is like CNN or Fox News or a faith, in my opinion. They prey on people's wallets and take advantage of mentally ill, just other big face outlets. And I'm just as mad as Jesus walking into the church, flipping over tables because they make a mockery of God's house. Um, Pretty much a Dr. Phil spinoff. Everyone preys on people's wallets. All dirty. All money is dirty. That's another show too. Too much subjectivity is not healthy. Crucible says. Rush Limbaugh. Let's see. Damien says so. Someone's truth can mean that what they believe is not factually correct. I'm trying to get through all the comments, y'all. I always try to read everyone's comments. Rattler says, "Oops, that was meant for Ligma. No problem." Grandmaster says, "Just because it's true to you doesn't make it absolutely true." That's true also. I mean, there's so much, there's like, okay, I'll get into that later. Damon says to Tuna, I thought that only the factual truth can be true. This word truth is starting to become a tongue twister here. Bad Love says, I don't, okay, you're talking about that. Okay. So what's the topic? Oh, DA is, are there two sides to every story? Fair Use says, to me, speaking your truth means more of a person staying true to who they are, their feelings, opinions, beliefs, morals, ideas, boundaries, or convictions. Good point. Good point. I can agree with that too. Crazy says the fair use. Crucible says good point. So at least we all agree on that. Tuna says a personal truth is something that is real to you, not everyone else. Crazy says, but I call that true to oneself. I'm telling you, this word truth is a tongue twister. Damien says, so speaking your truth may not be actual truth? Question. Whew. Okay, y'all. I'm sorry. We get so involved in the conversation. You all are just typing your comments. So crazy.
So speaking your truth may not be the actual truth. I want to point out that the word prior to truth is your truth. It is not the truth. It is not a fact, truth, fact, or factual. So that again, that is obviously everybody thinks of those words put together differently. When I say speak If I ask someone to tell me the truth, that means I want to know the truth. And then I may say, give me the truth, right? Or give me your truth. Because when you listen to all sides of that, there's going to be a lot of variables, questions, whatever it's called. So speaking someone's truth is just how they see it, their opinions, and it might include their morals, their conviction, all of that stuff. You see, so it's something that they're saying. And you shouldn't, well, I'll just speak on my own. I'm not going to tell somebody, oh, that's not your truth. How do you know? But the better way to approach it for me is, look, that, I understand that's your truth. This is how I see it. The same that I say about, and I'm the same way, solid. We're going to have to, if I can't come to there's not cameras, it's not a factual, you can't look it up, you can't guarantee, whatever the case may be, we're going to have to agree to disagree, because go find me an actual definition of that and find out if any of us are right. Let's be real about that if we're talking about what the truth is.
Okay, you
But
make
I
you
think
make a
I
good
think
point.
what happens I think what happens in those situations, crazy, is when we differentiate between the truth and your truth, what we're doing is if not overtly, we're at least indirectly inviting them to personalize the truth. We're inviting them to put their own embellishments on it based on their prior experiences. And that's where all that subjectivity comes in. And we're never going to agree. Some things are things that can be decided. Not everything is in the ether. Well, we're not going to agree on that. We don't agree on things because everybody clings to, I'm using air quotes now, their truth. And when we invite people to use their truth, we're going to get injected into that truth all of the things that they bring to that particular topic. I believe we should stick more to the truth, because I do think there are things that are in this life that are black and white. We choose to see gray because we don't want to give in. So I just think when we say your truth, we're opening the door to a lot of personalized versions of it.
I'm
Well,
just going to respond because you said crazy. But just 1 second. I'm going to let you know that I disagree, only because you're actually answering your truth and not what I said I perceive my truth, or telling somebody your truth is. You're trying to get a fact out of your truth, but what I'm trying to tell you that I consider my truth or someone's truth is pretty much what Fair Use said in the comments. I'm not saying there isn't a truth, right? Because and there is black and white in situations, as we've already addressed that. Cameras, facts, something you can look up, stuff like that. But specifically telling somebody that that's not their truth is not yours to say, because you don't know what their truth is. Because that's why I said that there's a difference between the truth and your truth. And if you're looking at all sides, you're gonna look at the truth versus their truth. Or you're just saying, I want the truth and screw what everybody else saw in that situation, is what it sounds like to me. So you're looking for more factual stuff, but you're leaving out a whole other side of it that is subjective. And I agree, in a sense of saying that being too subjective is not healthy, because then you can never come to an absolution sometimes. All right. But it's me saying someone's truth is, like I said, it's just their truth. And you should invite anybody to express themselves, even if you don't agree with that.
you know,
I didn't say you couldn't prove them wrong, though. I didn't say that now.
okay, so crazy, you make a good point. And um, yesterday, Da, he posted something on our Friendly Differences to TikTok, and I am going to go there because I need to show that I'm pushing back on what Crucible said. So, and I'm bringing up CRT, and to just run it down, just in a nutshell, um, a woman was helping her child with her homework, and she saw something that her black child, was learning in school that was not right. So she's going before the school board or wherever it is, and she's saying, so what am I supposed to do when my child answers a question and it's marked wrong? So when you say that, so Crucible, when you say something like, well, people are getting into this whole thing with their truth and the truth and all this other stuff, you have all this stuff that's going on right now where people are trying to, when you say it makes them uncomfortable or to dismiss it or they don't want to face it. This is one of those times. And to give another example, when my son was in 4th grade, last year he was in regular school before I pulled him out to homeschool him. I was helping him with math, and we were doing division. Now, when I did division in school, and you had a remainder, we put the remainder at the top. Remainder 2, remainder whatever. It was at the top. His teacher in school was teaching them to put the remainder at the bottom. I'm trying to show my son how to do this division, and he's putting the remainder at the top. She marked it wrong. I had to, of course, go up there, and she's like, well, no, the remainder goes here. I said, but it's relative, right? It's all relative. He still got the right answer, right? It was still a remainder of whatever. And she says, well, that's not the point. That is the point, whether you put it at the top or the bottom. And I say that to say that when you start saying that someone's truth, that it's the absolute and people are starting to pick apart stuff, things are being picked apart so much now that a lot of the people who are doing the picking have no idea what they're picking apart. So unless you actually live someone's truth and see the world in their particular lens, I can look at where Ellie lives. I cannot experience what it's like to live where she lives. I don't know. But she has her own truth that she could tell me that I cannot refute or say back to her. I don't know what it's like to live in a country of war. Not like that. So everyone does have their truth. And it's not inviting people to do this, whatever. I mean, some people, unless you know what that person is living, whether you want to call it their experience or not, you can't push back. And that's why I say there's sometimes when you just need to sit back and just listen and not say anything, because there are a lot of things that people say that I have absolutely no business to open up my mouth on because I don't experience what they're saying. When I listen to some people on this show talk about how they've been homeless, I cannot say, well, if you all did this and well, that's not true, whatever. I don't know what it's like. Only thing I can do is sit back and listen. It doesn't make their experience wrong. So, Crucible?
Yeah, I'm just kind of following the chats, the remarks in the chats, and I'm you guys disagree with me all you want. That's perfectly fine, but I do see an awful lot of sentiment in the chats that goes against what you guys have been sort of advocating here, and I just go back to when Crazy made a remark a little while ago. She said, "Truth is not about facts." Now, I don't know about a court of law, but there's very few places you could
I
make that.
never said that. I never said that.
I typed it into the chat. I typed a response into the chat because I couldn't believe you said it. But regardless, I think we're getting into a very difficult place when I completely agree with fair use. What um, what informs your values, your feelings, your opinions, and whatnot, that's your truth. That's the amalgamation of life experiences that you bring to every situation. And you see the world through that particular lens. But sometimes we have to set that lens aside for the sake of objectivity. Everything can't be subjective. Everything can't be individualized and personalized and embellished to fit into our narrative. we have to let some things go and acknowledge, okay, I might have been wrong about that, or maybe there's a better way to look at that. Instead, we dig our heels in, we go into our respective corners, and we decide we're going to agree to disagree. No open mindedness, no um, open discourse. We retreat to our corners, and nothing ever gets resolved. I don't think that's a healthy way for society to thrive.
So you want everybody to see exactly the same way all the time.
Not all the time. That's the
Well,
distinction I made earlier. Some things are black and white, not everything. But in the instances where there is middle ground and people can say, I didn't think of it that way, or maybe I'll do some research on that, our immediate instinctive reaction is to shut that other person down and say, you're wrong, and you're wrong because I believe this.
but that is what's happening here in the chat and in the, because again, we got a bunch of opinions. And honestly, I've already said all of this. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And I said it earlier. Like, I'm not talking about facts, cameras, something you can prove or whatever. We're talking about someone talking about this kind of went in a whole nother direction, but someone speaking their truth is just letting them tell their side of it. Nobody said you had to agree. Nobody said you couldn't prove it wrong. Nobody said that it was facts. Nobody said that. I'm not talking about facts or truth like something plausible. We're talking about opinions and someone talking about certain things. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's no way in hell if I believe something and I am dead set on believing that, and I've already, mind you, done my due diligence, which means that if I hear something from another party and I'm like, okay, I can accept all of that all the way around. But there are some things that I'm dead set on, and it doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to disagree with it. And you have to accept that. You're not going to tell me you don't accept that, because I'm going to tell you it won't matter. We can go rounds with this. You are going to get the same answer, or I'm just going to stop responding, because there is black and white. There's also the gray area, the white area, everybody's made up areas. You see what I'm saying? Like, there is no absolute unless it is a fact that can be proven, looked up, and even shit on the internet's wrong. Unless there was a camera, and even stuff on there can be messed up. You see, so you're looking for an absolution that's just not even technically possible all the time, but definitely is sometimes. I agree with
Okay, hold on,
I agree with that too, Crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Da. He's been waiting patiently. Welcome, Da.
Hello, I can't be here long. My appointment's about to start. But I was gonna say, truth is always subjective, unless there's absolutes. Like, no matter what, we've seen this guy steal this right here and put it in his pocket. Those are truths that aren't subjective. But truths that are subjective, such as seeing things from your own lens and not understanding other people's lens. We used to always say that there's always three sides every story, not just two. Your side, the other person's side, and then there's the truth, because both people see things subjectively by centering themselves. That's the thing about it. We all tend to center ourselves in what we call our truth, and when we center ourselves, that's what makes our truth more real, because it's our lived experience, and it's all about the. And I hate to say this, but we all have it, but it's all about the egotistical side of it's about us. And so what I see becomes the truth, it becomes the gospel, and no matter what anybody else sees, that's their truth, that's what they see. But what I see is more important than what they see. And so, but we all do that. We all do it depending on where we're at. I've done it with my wife. We've been in arguments, and I've told what I call my truth, and she's told her truth. But we see things through different lenses, and our lens is actually shaped by our past experience. And our past experience can either alter the truth or it can make it more real than what it is. If I grew up in a two family household or a one family household, if I have brothers and sisters, or if things have happened to me in the past, all these things literally shape the lens that we see things through. No one ever sees things clear. It's only clear to us, but it's not clear to anybody else. But no one ever sees things 100% clear, because we always center ourselves in the middle of it, and we make that truth scoped around us, and that's what becomes our absolute truth. But my truth to someone like Crazy, to Crucible, to Solid, My truth might be subjective because I might say I've seen this, but they've seen it from a different angle. They've seen it from the side. They've seen it from the outside looking in, and they might say, "No, Lloyd," or "No, Lloyd, you've seen it wrong. This is how I've seen it."
You make a very good point.
Exactly. I agree with a lot of that. Yeah, exactly.
You make a very you make a very good point. And that's why and crazy. When you said that, after a while, if people don't see your side of it, I always have this thing that I say is I'm going to time for me to get off the merry-go-round because I'm not going to go round and round and round and round. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even want to bring up certain things to certain people because it's not going to go anywhere, and it becomes a waste of my time. So it's like, again, I come back to what we were talking about when the show first started. We weren't talking about we are talking about opinions and whatever. Are both sides valid? Are some people willing to or unable to accept another person's side? I'm willing to say I agree to disagree. Some people may think that's a cop out, or you don't want to see the facts. No, it's me not wanting to continuously go round and round and round, day in and day out, you know, you know, on something that is apparent that you disagree. So can't you just say I agree to disagree? Because I'm done. It's like, okay, the conversation's over. I'm off doing this, and you're getting upset because I don't see your side. So what? So what?
I have a question for Crucible.
Wait,
You want you
hold on one second. Okay, ask your question, then I'm gonna go through these these comments. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stuff in the chat going on, but I just, well, not even for Crucible, I just want to point out something in the room. There's a couple of different sides in the room. I'm willing to hear what everybody says. And matter of fact, I agree with some. I mean, I'm not saying that none of it is whatever. I just have different opinions on stuff. But the other side keeps saying that's wrong. But you want us to see how you see it. But you can't say that some of what we're saying is not correct. Like you have to be able to, if you're going to give your opinion, be able to take an opinion. You have to be able to see both sides and actually understand what they're saying, because sometimes when we listen, and I'm guilty of this, I've already decided I'm right, so I've shut that off, and that other person's opinion doesn't matter because I hear a lot of, nah, that's wrong, that's not how it is. And the ones that there's a bunch agreeing in the chat with just some people, some agreeing with just some people, and then there's the ones that are like, yeah, I agree with some of that too. I haven't heard one person that is not agreement with speak your truth say, oh, I can understand how you could see that. I still haven't seen that. So point being is that both sides have their truth about what speak your truth is, and that's how it goes. Because where's the fact here? Tell me where you can just factually say either side is wrong. That's the only thing I want to know. Where can you factually say either side is wrong?
And this is where you can't factually say either side is wrong. And I'm going to throw in again, when you see things through a different lens, you cannot tell me that I'm wrong. You can sit up here. I mean, I have asked someone a question, and I still haven't gotten an answer. You know, it's a deflection. But it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But crazy, like you said, you can look up facts and figures, and you can listen to this person or listen to that person, and this and this and this. But again, I'm going to say this thing again about short truth. Um, People can't agree with me. They can disagree with me. I don't care. Just because there's 100 people in the room, and 99 of them agree with me, that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. 99 of them agree with me. 1 of them disagree with me. I don't care. Just because there's 100 people in the room, and 99 of them agree with me, that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. 1 of them disagree with me. I don't care. and I'm that 100th person, and everyone is raising their hand, 99 people are raising their hand. If I don't believe what you are raising your hand for, I'm going to keep my hand down. And if people want to look at me and say, "Well, you're stupid," you should be raising, everyone else does, and that's what I hear a lot. Everyone else thinks this, so therefore, so I don't care. I'm glad that I have the courage to keep my hand down. I'm glad I have the courage not to jump over that cliff because everyone else is jumping over that cliff. I don't mind. If you want to call me crazy or say that you're silly, whatever, and your truth doesn't matter, or you're wrong, I don't care. Because I'm still going to believe what I want to believe. And if I choose to believe and agree with you, then I will, if I think that I should. But I have no problem being that lone person on that hill. But when people consistently push back on me, evidently you have a problem with me being that lone person on that hill. Everyone sees things differently. And crazy, you made a good point when you said, until you bring out the cameras. And even when you have cameras, depending upon what side of the street you're standing on, or what side of the room, you're still going to get a different view on what really happened. And if your view from this, and then crazy, and I'm gonna push back on you a little bit on that, because I can have a camera on the west side, Crucible can have a camera on the east side, and you could have been standing on the south side, but there was no camera on the north side. Who's to say that what that person who was standing on the north side saw was wrong just because he didn't have a camera angle? We didn't see that view. So everything is subjective, and people do see things differently. Why is that so hard for people to understand? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying your truth. I just don't.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
I agree. I'm just, I get humbled. That's why I watch a lot of what I say now. A lot of people think I just shoot off at the mouth all the time, but nah, I used to. And then, you get tired of getting humbled or whatever. But guess what? Just because I say, again, this applies to me. I'm not saying this to anybody else or putting this on anybody else. If I speak my truth and you prove me wrong, guess what? I'm wrong. It's not, I can't go back and go, no, it's still my truth. I don't care what you say. If you can prove me wrong, you got facts, you got whatever it is, prove me wrong. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But you can't tell me I can't speak my truth, because I'm going to let you speak your truth. And then maybe the truth is just out there and nobody knows because it just can't be proven at the time. Again, the perfect example is right now. Both sides, we're speaking our truths about the speak of the truth, but none of this is factual. Where do you find that? Show me a fact where you can prove anybody in here wrong. I can't say you're wrong. What I can say is I disagree, or I don't see it that way, or here's how I see that.
Well, one thing that I will say, and I will say this to everyone who is on the panel and who may listen to this later on, and thank you for everybody supporting my YouTube channel. My views are really going up, so thank you. Um, um, I do these shows for a reason, because I like talking about things that people don't want to talk about. I don't mind getting pushback. You all can push back on me, and you all can get mad at me. I don't care. But I do these shows because I want to get into the weeds. I want to talk about things and dismantle things and put them back together. And like I said at the very beginning of the show, sometimes things get dismantled and they don't get put back together by the end of the show. That is fine. But at least we were able to weed through some of it and talk about some of it. I've never been that person who talks about safe stuff. Well, let's not talk about that because, or Solid's over there talking about that stuff again. I will always talk about that stuff. I always will. You can either listen in or not. But this is why I do these shows, so we can dismantle it and talk about it and disagree. Some people will disagree. Maybe everyone will disagree, maybe everyone won't, but everyone will have their say. And Crazy and Crucible, I want to bring up what Damien said. Imagine a lecturer teaching medical students and injecting his truth in the lecture. Various dangerous game. Damien, you're absolutely right. But don't all professors, teachers inject their own personal views when they're teaching a
Sure
class?
do.
Has any teacher ever really gone up and said, if you're teaching a social sciences class, that you're talking about this, and you know they're not going to inject with what they think? It's happening every day. Every time you turn around, there's a video of some student filming what a teacher said that shouldn't have been said. So it is.
Doctors also perform procedures differently all the time. So I agree with what he says, but again, you're in a professional environment, you're a professor, they're still going to have an opinion. They're still going to read something differently, see something differently, teach something differently. So we're hitting those variables like them.
Go ahead. Yes, like an F. Yes, yes, we are. And,
Yeah, I agree
and
with it.
also, and when you look at the whole variable thing, I bring up the remainder thing again with the whole math thing, because you can say, what is 2 plus 2? I can get 2 plus 2 by counting on my fingers. Someone can get 2 plus 2 by using a calculator. Some people can get 2 plus 2 by using a ruler. As long as you're coming up with the same answer, does it really matter how you got there? The fact that the answer's right. But some people will say, "Oh no, you shouldn't have done it this, and this is the only way to do it. You can only do it like this." That's not true, because there are many ways to do things. So I don't know. I mean, if I was a surgeon and I was doing a transplant, I may stand on the left side of the operating table. You may stand on the right side. But guess what? If you're on the left side, you're going to get a slightly different view than the right side. If you're on the right side, you're going to get a slightly different view than the left side. So when someone says, "Well, what happened, in that OR? Why did this happen?" The person on the right side is going to have a different view of the person on the left side. No one is. I mean, are they both wrong?
Right.
So I don't know.
I'm not even saying Crucible or anybody in here is wrong, because technically nobody's wrong. That's what you think. That's your truth. That's how you see it. That's how you perceive it. You just can't. That's like, I mind my business, right? I let everybody live their own truth, and I mind stay in my lane. And I use that word. I guess it's the word truth that's triggering people, because there's so little of it. Let's be honest. There's so little of it, right? So that's a really triggering word. And I understand that. That's why I preface that with your truth, the truth, my truth. Facts are different. Truth can be fact. Truth has so many different variables. It's unreal. And you'll be surprised if, you just got to know. I would never say you're wrong if you're not wrong, because I can't prove you're wrong. You can't say I'm wrong because you can't prove I'm wrong. It's not wrong. It's just different opinion, and we have to agree to disagree. How do you absolute this argument? Tell me, please. I mean, I don't see how that's possible.
I mean, you can't. I mean, I just want to read what Bad Love says. What if the person you are dealing with lies to themselves and cannot face hard truths about themselves? The most dangerous liars, after all, are the people who believe with conviction the lies they tell themselves. Just add another layer of flavor to this soup. Yeah, we got a lot of flavors going on here, Bad Love. A lot of flavors. Crucible, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think what we may be stumbling over here is the basic word truth. Rockweiler just typed it in there, kind of stole my thunder a little bit. But what I think sometimes we confuse is truth with our feelings and our opinions. And if we feel so strongly about something, and we've felt that way for such a long time, it becomes our truth. We've convinced ourselves that it is true when in fact it might just be emotions, it might just be opinions, it might just be feelings. So, truth should not be subjective. The very definition of truth is the opposite of subjective. So when we're injecting the word subjective into the word truth, there's your problem. So maybe truth isn't always the word that should be used in all these cases, because if somebody's telling me the truth, I want to know the truth. If it turns out that I'm wrong, I will be the first one. I do it all the time, more times than I wish I had to. Stand up, raise my hand, and say, I got that wrong. I want to know what's reality. I want to operate in the real world. I don't want to be half cocked. I don't want to live in a bubble. I don't want to live in my own world. I don't want to cling to my quote unquote values in the absence of reality and facts. I wish more people would say, look, I got that wrong. I never thought of it that way. Too few people are willing to do that, whether they're too insecure or whether they're too ill-informed. They just want to go with their feelings and their emotion. That's when we get everybody having their own truth. So I think we have to be careful with the word truth. It doesn't mean a bunch of different things. There's a reason we use the word. Think about when you're conversations with people. You use the word truth because it has a very, very specific and very narrow meaning. You don't use it because it's a gray word. You don't use it because it's a subjective word. It's a very specific word, and we choose it for a reason. So it seems to me we're at odds with the very definition of the word truth.
Well, when I use the word truth, I use it. I don't want somebody telling me how I should use it. And in terms of dealing with reality, there's a lot of reality out there that Oh, that's a whole different show talking about reality and what have you, because there's a lot of reality out there that's been being proven right now that is just downright lies, just downright lies. So that's a whole another show. But again, no one's going to tell me how I need to feel or my truth or how the word truth or whatever, because again, how you see things is one way, how I see things is one way, and again, whew, crazy.
No, I mean, just again, I'm going to go back to, you want me to accept what you're saying as something that I should look into and possibly adopt. I want to challenge you and ask you, do you not agree with anything I've said? Because it's not what you're saying, and what you're arguing is actually a little bit different. That's why it's the understanding of there's a little bit of break there, like between what I'm saying and what he's saying in response. But there's a lot of different like things going on in here. Why? Case in point, because it's everybody's opinion, what their truth is, what their whatever is. Now, truth is a triggering word for you for that reason. I mean, I don't know, but truth is unfortunately subjective because of the variables. It's just not possible unless it is a fact, and I mean a provable, tangible fact. It cannot be the truth 100% of the time, and it is matter of fact. Truth is probably very low in the pile of what people say is a truth. The real truth is a very, very, very small part of that. So it's really hard to say there can be an absolution. If that's how you choose to live your truth and what you think your truth or whatever you think that is, then that's fine. But in this case, the same thing. We'll either have to agree to disagree completely, or you're going to have to open your mind to what I'm saying. If you're asking me to open my mind to what you're saying, is all I'm saying.
Uh, yes, Frankie, this is a deep conversation. Crucible, you want to respond to Crazy?
No, I agree with her. I think she makes some very good points. I'm a little bit on the fence with I agree that unless it's a very provable, and a lot of things are, a lot of things aren't, because we don't have, in practical terms, we don't have the cameras, we don't have the replays. Those are funny commercials and they're funny concepts, but in reality, we never have them. So no one ever is going to know what actually happened in most of these situations. But I think where I part ways a little bit is I'm trying to think about it. I really am. These are some things that I've not really contemplated before. So if there's a way to come at this thing that I haven't thought of, I'm going to do it. Um, the truth is subjective part is I'm kind of hung up on that, and I'll work through that. We're not going to spend a ton of time talking about that, but um, I really respect where you guys are coming from. It's given me some real good food for thought, some perspectives that I had considered before, but probably rejected. May reject them again, but they need further study. So I just think these are fascinating conversations to listen to how people can have such divergent views on things. I can completely disagree, but in the very next breath, say, you know what? They make an awfully good point there. So kudos to you, ladies, for giving me some things to chew on here because this has been a really good conversation.
Crazy.
Appreciate that. And I, like I said, I agree with, don't, I'm not actually against what you say. I'm just opening it up to, you know me, got to pull it all apart. That's why I like to be challenged. I like to challenge at the same time.
Well, you have a compliment from Bad Love. She says, Crazy, I sure do like this conversation. You do a great job representing your opinions, girl. I always admire you for that. So kudos to you, Crazy. The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off. Grandmaster says.
It's true though. I mean, it's
thank
true.
you.
I love-
Thank you, Bad Love, for the gift. Oh, okay. So that's why I say your truth can be a dangerous game. And Bad Love says, Crazy. I would have loved to be on a debate team with you in school. I would hope that you put us on the same side and not pitted us against each other. Let's see. That would be fine. Let's see. Thank you very much, Frankie. Thank you, Lou, for the gift. Exactly what I said, 30 minutes. You know, this conversation, like I said, people are going to have their opinions. People are going to have their truths. People can have their facts, whatever. But I like to look at the whole. And I don't think that you can tell someone that they're wrong when you don't know. I don't think that you can try to tell someone they can't learn something because you feel uncomfortable. I don't think it's right for, a boss to tell you, that you can't, get that promotion, because they're pissed off at you because of whatever. I mean, everyone is going to have their opinion about something. And you either accept it or not. And some people will argue you to the T. Me, I'm not listening to that because again, at what point do you just stop and just say you do have to agree to disagree if it's not going anywhere? And that's why some people, I don't have conversations about certain things anymore because it never goes anywhere. It's a waste of time, or at least it's a waste of my time. So I hope you guys, did get something out of this. I apologize for not reading all the conversations. Excuse me, all the comments I usually do, but we've been talking and these comments have been just going. Everyone has been saying something about something. And I appreciate all the comments, Crazy DA Crucible. Thank you for popping up on the panel. I'm gonna give y'all last words. Crucible, you have any last words?
No, I pretty much said my last words a couple minutes ago. This was a really good show, good stimulating conversation. Always appreciate the different perspectives, and I like to have something to chew on. After the show is over with, some things to kick around, and kind of challenge myself to not be so presumptuous that what I thought I knew, I'm always going to know. So I enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Okay. And the crazy last words.
Well, I'm just going to let y'all know, speak your truth. Like all BS aside, and I mean that wholeheartedly. And if you are wrong, accept if you're wrong. That's the point. If someone can prove you wrong, shoot. If you can prove somebody wrong, do it. If I can prove you wrong, but don't look at it as like you're trying to prove them wrong. You see, just make sure that you're not going in trying to put yourself in that situation and put your truth on top of theirs, because that's where all of that stuff comes into play. Truth is truth, and the truth is, yes, facts are truth 100%, but you I won't say you can't say it's not subjective. It's hard to put those words together because they shouldn't, but at the same time it's impossible not to, because we're not robots, we're humans. So I mean, just I love these conversations. Challenge me, I challenge myself when I go against that. That's why I have these conversations, so that I can see what other people think or feel like. And then, I don't know, I get a lot of this stuff from being in customer service all these years. I think that's where I've been around with all this stuff.
So on the okay, so just ending it, because I am trying to end it, but I do have a question. Um, do you all think that it's possible that even with everyone talking about their facts, and a fact is a fact and truth is the truth, that everyone is either wrong or everyone is either right?
So you're saying, is it always yes or no?
Yes. Is it always, that is it possible that everyone can either be wrong or everyone's right? Because I don't believe that.
If it's a fact, yeah. If it's not a fact, no. That's how I.
Okay, so then we're coming back to the thing of, you don't know. Okay,
Yeah, how can somebody be wrong or right
well,
if
right.
you
I mean,
can't
it's
prove
like
it?
can right. So it's like, prove me wrong, or I have to prove you right. But I think it's very hard. So I guess my question is, what is so wrong about just leaving it at we agree to disagree? Why is that so hard for some people?
For me personally, it's the lack of resolution. I think sometimes it's the easy way out. Maybe a little more digging, a little more conversation would yield a clearer, a more definitive outcome. That's just for me personally. I think people they like certainty where they can get it. And to say, let's just agree to disagree, to me, that sounds like a concession. We didn't work hard enough to get to the truth. It seems sometimes like a lazy way of avoiding some unpleasantness on my part or the part of the other person. Um, so I think that's what is frustrating when you're having a conversation. People like outcomes, specific outcomes, preferably their outcome. But even if it's an outcome that doesn't go in their favor, I think clarity is important to a lot of people. I think that's what frustrates people when people say, let's agree to disagree. They like
So
resolution.
if you go round and round with someone for quite some time, are you supposed to continue going round and round with this person?
No, no, that's not the
So
same
okay,
thing. I agree with you
so
when you.
when you say, when you agree to disagree, then then you may not have your resolution, but it's like, how long are you supposed to go round and round? And that's why I would never ever want to be on a jury. When a jury says, when the judge says, well, go back and see if you can do it again, and they're coming back and forth, we cannot agree on a verdict. We can't. So how long are you supposed to do this? Because for me, I going round and round with somebody for an hour, to me, is exhausting, especially when you know
Yeah,
that you're not going to change your mind and they're not going to change your mind. So because you may think that it's a cop out, or it's the easy way out, sometimes it's the only reasonable and mature
no,
out.
you're right. You're right. You're right. And I think for most people's preferences, they they find that outcome to be unfulfilling and a little unsatisfying. But it doesn't mean that's not the right path at some point. You're right. You cannot continue to beat a dead horse. Minds are not going to be changed. You're going to raise frustration. You're going to piss people off. You're going to end friendships. There's a time and a place to say, yeah, we got to walk away from this thing. So yeah, I don't disagree with that. But I think to answer your question, people like definitive, certain outcomes. If they, crazy used the good word closure. They like closure. They don't like open ended because open ended gives a feeling of unresolved. But sometimes agreeing to disagree is a resolution. I never even thought of it that way till this very second. Maybe agreeing to disagree is an actual resolution.
And that is why I usually say to some people, let's agree to disagree because I'm not going round and round because it's just silly. It's just silly. And I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. So crazy. Your last word, last word.
No, I agree with all of that. And see, that was the point where I was just trying to come to. It's got to be, it's not always going to be a win lose. Sometimes it's a tie. All right. It's a tie. That's it. And people have to accept that, whether you like it or not. And I'm saying people as in me, and I know, and I'm only speaking from my experience. And that's why I call it my truth. So that's how I see it.
Okay. So again, DA, Crucible, Crazy, thank you for popping up on the panel. Everyone, thank you so much for coming. I am not going to have a show tomorrow. No show tomorrow. So I will see you guys back here on Monday, and I will probably see you around Podbean, more than likely on Crazy Show, because her show is, I think, probably the only one that I go on anymore. And I'll be good, Crazy. Don't worry. I will be good. So I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of Heartbreaker Blues, unless there are some requests, any requests. And no, Frankie, I'm not going to play that song again. You got it 2 days in a row. So, whatever you're thinking. I'm going to leave you all with this. Enjoy the rest of your week, wherever you may be in the world. Ellie, you stay safe. A special prayer and going out to Ellie. You stay safe. And here you go. And that's it, everyone. So, again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Go where the wind takes you. And I'll see you back here on Monday.